Good morning, everyone. Do want to welcome you to our fourth installment of Breakfast at the Hop, fourth and final. We do have Jamie McCumber and Route. We're going to join in with the commentary just before the first two-year-old qualifier, which is going to serve as the first qualifier this morning. But for those here in person, do want to welcome you to head down to the Hop, located on the track apron. We do have Chick-fil-A for breakfast out here. If you want to take advantage of that, it will go quick. So you do want to be sure to head down here. Again, that's on the track apron. And again, Jamie McCumber is on her way. We will jump in with the commentary before the first two-year-old qualifier this morning, and that will be race 4, and we will talk to you then.
And I don't mind doing the boxes.
Good morning, everyone. Do want to again welcome you to Breakfast at the Hop here at Harrah's Hoosier Park. We got our first baby race on track. Once we get through this first baby race, we're going to jump in with Jamie McCumber. We're glad to have her back once again, but we do have, again, horses on gate for this fourth qualifier. A nice bunch of 2-year-olds. We'll start from the inside out. We've got the one, Mr. McBeevy. This is the fourth foal from a dam that made $300,000, and McAce of Arts had a 149 mark on her. The two, I'm a Real Dapper Dude, Jordan Ross, Perry Smith. Seventh foal from a mare that's produced I'm a Real Ladies Man and I'm a Real Rockin' Bugatti for the Perry Smith barn. The three, Boomski, Trace Teatrick, Ron Burke. Fourth foal from a dam that made over $600,000, an Ideal Nectarine. This one a half brother to the likes of Bet 19 and Bet 31. The fourth, Circus, a down by the seaside Ohio bred. This one a half sister, half brother to the likes of Divine Caroline, that Dam Patch Award winner and Breeders' Crown champion. The five, he's got a big muffler, Marcus and Irv Miller. Eighth full from a Cole Muffler mare that made over 300. That's produced the likes of Sports Muffler, who made over $360,000. Six, Indigo Station. Mike McAuliffe trains and drives another down by the seaside Ohio bred. This one from a dam that's a half sister to Inverse Hanover that made over $300,000. And the seven, He's Gone Hanover, Kyle Wolfong, Brittany Dillon. This one from that world champion, Breeders' Crown champion mare, Hannah Hanover. She has also produced Hayden Hanover with a mark of 47 and 3. They've got the eight, Brilliant, a first full from the mare, Jules for Real. It made over $300,000. So we'll shoot things up to Michael Chamberlain for the call of this first baby race.
Thank you, Jacob. We have 3 driver changes here. The 1 will be driven by Christian Pacheco. The 2 will be driven by Lawayne Miller. And the 4, Doug Rideout in the sulky. And here they come. They are up. Stepping away well from the inside, Mr. McBeevy also advancing into Go Station. And in the center, he's got a big muffler. Circus is racing fourth. And then He's Gone Hanover is followed by Boomski. The last two, I'm a Real Dapper Dude and Brilliant. As the field goes on to that first turn. And on the outside, it is Indigo Station, who now takes over as they put up a quarter of 29 and 4. Indigo Station has the lead going to the back stretch. Second is He's Got a Big Muffler, and Mr. McBeevy is next in third. 2 lengths behind that, Circus. He's Gone Hanover is fifth, and racing sixth is Boomski, about 8 lengths off the lead. Another 2 back to I'm a Real Dapper Dude, and going off stride at the back end was Brilliant. Brilliant on a break as the field comes to the half-mile pole. Indigo Station still has the lead through a half of 1 minute. Indigo Station with the advantage going on to the second turn. Next is He's Got a Big Muffler with Mr. McBeevy following in third. Then comes Circus, who is racing along fourth and now tips to the outside to try and advance from that position. He's Gone Hanover is followed by Boomski, another 2 to I'm a Real Dapper Dude as they now enter the stretch. 3/4 time, 129 and 2, a 29 and 2 third quarter. Indigo Station is in front as they move through the stretch. Trying to move up on the outside is Circus, and Circus is putting in a bid. Also here on the outside, He's Gone Hanover's closing well, and splitting horses and coming on now. He's Got a Big Muffler. He's Got a Big Muffler. He's Gone Hanover. He's Gone Hanover on the outside has gotten up to win it from He's a Big Muffler. Then it was Indigo Station and Mr. McBeevy, 156 and 3.
And that's a big time qualifier for the first baby race of the morning. 156 and 3. He's Gone Hanover going to rally on the outside from that second crop of Poppy Rob Hanover. Again, very well bred son out of that great mare, Hannah Hanover. $1.2 million made. She's had several good ones, and he just nosed out. He's got a big muffler who is very good as well, splitting horses in the stretch. Jamie, when you get to these baby races, you're just looking for professionalism out there, and I think we saw a couple that were very professional out on the racetrack.
Absolutely. I think you're going to see a little bit of everything. You know what I mean? The learning, the getting lost, the professionalism, and it's awesome.
And that's what I was going to ask you too, Jamie. I know we had you for this last year. A little bit's changed for you in the last year since we last had you for Breakfast at the Hop. You're now the sales manager for the Midwest Standardbred Horse Sale, which is going to take place this October. So how's this time of year changed for Jamie McCumber since compared to when you were doing the training side of things just the last year?
Oh my gosh, so much. I almost came in and trained this morning just so I could relate to being on here again like I did last year, but I didn't. I think they have enough help at the barn, and I might have just messed things up. But anyways, a lot has changed. I work from home now, and I look at a computer more than I ever have, and talk a lot more on the phone than I ever have. So I don't remember the last horse I trained, being honest.
Jamie, you've won a Breeders' Crown, you've won a training title, you've trained some of the best Indiana breds. I don't think messing some things up in the barn is going to be something that was ever going to happen.
Oh, it might. Ricky might have his system, and I might just want to use my system and throw everybody off.
And how has that transition been for you? I know you said you don't remember the last horse you trained. How has that transition been? Because I mean, that was your life for a big chunk of your life. Do you miss the barn? But are you liking working from home, as I said, and trying this new way of life right now?
Oh my gosh, I love it. I'm learning so much, but I do miss the barn. I miss the people. I love the people back there. So I love the horse. I miss the people and the horses the
Yeah.
most. But every day I'm learning something right now and trying harder, and I'm afraid of missing something, so I work harder, and it's great. Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about that Midwest Standardbred horse sale. I know it's kind of taking the place of what was the Hoosier Classic for a number of years here in Indiana. It's going to look a little bit different. Still going to be down at the Indiana State Fairgrounds in October. But let's talk about just kind of the general format changes, how that's going to look compared to how it did look in the past years.
Okay, so all of the horses are going to be in the same place. They're going to be in the West Pavilion, and we've got some extra stalls, so there'll be a little more place, in the back. But the actual sale is going to take place in the Corvetta Coliseum. We have a brand new, beautiful sale ring and auction block, so I'm super excited for everybody to see that. That'll be in the Coliseum. That's the biggest change. Yeah, is where it's going to be. But all the horses are going to be in West Pavilion. The office is going to be in the same place. Um, New auctioneer team. And they're bringing their whole team, so we don't know who's going to be where or whatever. We do know that Gabe Pruitt and Hollywood Hayden are going to be our pedigree readers, so I can give that up.
I know those guys a little bit. I think they'll be okay at that. I think you guys got two pretty good ones there.
I agree.
That being said, it is going to be now a 3 day sale. There's going to be a mixed sale element for that last day, but kind of talk about the 3 days, what each day is going to look like, how they're going to differentiate from one another.
Absolutely. So the first 2 days are the select sale. So we're going to plan to have the gold horses on day one, which is Thursday, October 16th. Friday is going to be the silver select sale. So the second best group of yearlings. The third day is going to be our mixed sale, which will be our third group of yearlings. We'll sell first in the morning, and then we'll move on to weanlings, brood mares, racehorses, stallion shares.
And I know it's going to be a little bit different, as is said, with that 3 day aspect, and also opening it up a little bit more beyond just the mixed sale component, but maybe even inviting some different horses from different programs kind of into the Hoosier sale for the first time this year.
Absolutely. We did open it up to non-Indiana breds for the first time ever. So our plan is to just get this sale to be bigger and better every year. So we thought by opening it up to out-of-state breds, we could invite new buyers into our area. With Kentucky booming and the possibility of Illinois catching up with everybody else, we just thought this was a great opportunity just to make it bigger and better. So we're hoping that everybody appreciates the fact that we opened it up to allow bigger numbers across the board. So the Hoosier Classic has always sold about 350 yearlings. We're going to sell 500 yearlings. We did eliminate the mech sale in November up in Shipshawana, but we think we can bring those numbers here. We'll sell 500 select yearlings plus or minus. And then on the third day, we're hoping to sell another 250 horses. So 3 days, 750 horses. I think it's going to be the most horses ever sold in Indiana.
And that's kind of the hope, as you were saying, if you do invite some out of state horses for the sale, maybe some people come to take a look at a nice pedigree. Well, they're also going to find an Indiana bred here that they might like. And as I said, get some new folks involved in this Indiana program.
And let me tell you, there are some head turners in the sale. I don't know how many yearlings I looked at this year, And I said, if this one wasn't on my list and it was in the aisleway when I walked by, it would be on my list. Unfortunately, I'm not shopping this year, but I do know some people that are. But anyways, there are some outstanding Indiana breds, and I'm just hoping maybe those Ohio buyers, those Kentucky buyers, come see what they want to see, and those Indiana breds catch their eye.
Yeah, and we continue to show year in, year out. Our top end Indiana breds can go with anyone in North America. We just had a 2-year-old going 150-4 the other night. Obviously, our top end 3-year-olds, you got horses like Sabonis and Gruesome Twosome. They're in the graduate final tonight out at the Meadowlands. So Indiana still continues to produce, maybe still a little bit unheralded out there. But again, we throw some big names, or you can find a nice bargain that will go on to do some big things, even beyond the Hoosier State in this program.
Absolutely. And when they do, they catch everybody's eye just because they are from Indiana. I feel like we're so far west that we're a little disconnected from everybody, but Kentucky's helping us be connected to everybody and everywhere. So when an Indiana bred does go somewhere, it catches everybody's eye.
So I was going to ask you too, obviously being the sales manager, you're looking at the yearlings that are coming in. How has that changed for you where, you're not just shopping for you anymore when it comes to these yearlings? How does it go now? You're looking for everyone and everyone's best interest for these yearlings.
And you know what? It was so funny because that's how the first month of inspections went. I was just looking for everybody. And then somebody said, well, you're getting a head start, aren't you? And I'm like, I never even gave that a thought. I could share my notes with Ricky, but everybody knows we don't communicate that well. But anyways, yes, it was awesome to just think that Dr. J does most of the selections, and she has so much more experience than me. So learning from her during the whole process was amazing. And I gained so much respect for her and her job. So that was fun and great.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about her process a little bit because I know we had Ron Burke a couple weeks ago. He talked a lot about her. She's kind of his eyes and ears when it comes to this Indiana program in terms of what he's going to look at for the sale. So kind of explain her process a little bit, what she's looking for in yearlings, and kind of her role with the sale.
So just like Ron Burke or Jeff Cullifer or Irv Miller, you know what I mean? Her role is to go out and look for the best conformed yearling that she can find. She also takes into consideration the breeding. Her brain about breeding is amazing. Like, she knows breeding like nobody I've ever spoke to before, which is pretty cool. So, and it's breeding all over the board. So her main concern this year was learning what a Captain Midnight throws, learning what a Rockin' Image throws, learning what a Tell throws, and accepting those little flaws that they do throw. Maybe all the right fronts are towed out a little bit, and accepting that and saying, well, he's producing.
Mm-hmm.
And if they all look like this, then it's acceptable and the buyers will be okay with it.
Absolutely. And I see we do have our fifth race. They are on the gate here. We've got 2-year-old trotters. I'll point out a couple in this spot. We've got the 3 Ponda Perfect for trainer driver Luane Miller. This one, the 8th foal from a dam that made just shy of $400,000. Also a half sister to Perfect Stick who made $250,000. We also have the 7 Nike's Delight. That's the 11th foal from a mare that's continued to produce. Shivery Hanover, $185,000. Also Nike Shining Star, just shy of $60,000. I'll send things up to Michael.
3 driver changes here. The 3 Ponda Perfect, the driver Kaiwan Waldron. The 5 Pay Me No Mind, Kyle Wilfong. And the 6 Fox Valley Gimlet, Irv Miller. Field is on gate for race 5, and here they come. They are off. And it is a good start for Fox Valley Gimlet, moving to the inside of that Rocket of Love. Next is Nike's Delight with Easy Weezy 4th. Then Ponda Perfect is followed by Pay Me No Mind, and about 7 lengths off to Amelia Hill, who I believe went off stride right at the start, but recovered quite quickly. They're moving on the turn now, and the leader is Rocket of Love. Rocket of Love in front, and with Breaker on the turn. Breaker on the turn was Easy Weezy. Easy Weezy went off stride, and also going off stride is Pay Me No Mind. So the opening quarter was 30-1, and they're now straightening away on the backstretch. Rocket of Love in front by a length over Fox Valley Gimlet. There's then 3 further to Nike's Delight in third. 7 more off to Ponda Perfect. 2 behind that is Amelia Hill. And then those first turn breakers Easy Wheezy and Pay Me No Mind, they are distantly back of the field. The opening half was 1:03, so it was 30-2 for that second quarter. They're moving on to the second turn. Still holding on, Rocket of Love. Fox Valley Gimlet is second. And now they have 8 lengths on Nike's Delight in third. Another 6 back to Ponda Perfect, who is fourth, with Amelia Hill fifth as they move around that second turn. And Rocket of Love still in front of Fox Valley Gimlet, just over a length, as they now come past 3/4. 131-3. 31 seconds for the third quarter. Rocket of Love in front of Fox Valley Gimlet. They have 6 lengths on the third position. And in third is Nike's Delight. But coming down the stretch, it is Rocket of Love, Fox Valley Gimlet now tipping out. And here comes Fox Valley Gimlet trying to get up and get Rocket of Love right in the shadow of the wire. Here comes Fox Valley Gimlet on the outside, and Fox Valley Gimlet is the winner. Rocket of Love was second, then Nike's Delight, and Ponda Perfect in 2 minutes and 1 second.
I wish I would.
Yeah, I'll double check on his way back.
So it is going to be Fox Valley Gimlet getting the job done in the fifth qualifier, getting the pocket trip and going by late. Rocket of Love, Fox Valley Gimlet. This one, an Illinois bred daughter of that world champion, Southwind Chrome, out of a Donato Hanover mare. Fourth full from her. She made over $23,000 and she looked very good out there. Same too for Rocket of Love. This is a propulsion out of a Donato Hanover mare for trainer driver Robert Taylor. And Robert Taylor really does an incredible job. Obviously, with any young horse, but young trotters, he does an outstanding job.
He's so patient and he's so smart, and he knows how to shoe them, which I think plays an important role in baby trotters.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you, Jamie. Obviously, 2-year-olds all together, they're learning a lot at this stage in the game, but 2-year-old trotters, they require even a little bit more patience, just a totally different world, maybe even than the 2-year-old faces.
Oh, it's amazing to try and tell somebody the difference between a 2-year-old trotter and a 2-year-old pacer that doesn't know anything about horses is hard, because 2-year-old trotters do require so much more patience and such a quieter hand.
And for that reason, can it take it a little bit longer to maybe get to the bottom of a 2-year-old trotter where they do show ability because they maybe have issues, maybe they're not quite all together in their head this early in the game? Do you have to be maybe willing to wait a little bit longer on a young trotter?
Absolutely. I think their maturity just comes so much later. But I think it's just so much harder for them to put it all together to go faster and faster. So just takes a little bit longer unless you have that perfect trotter.
And I know, obviously, you sat behind plenty of good young trotters. We talked to Ron Burke about Hannelore Hanover, and I know he gave you and Ricky a lot of credit when it came to Hannelore Hanover. What do you remember about her at this stage in the game, and when did you kind of know you really had something there?
It's so funny because Ronnie doesn't really fall for the show that these babies see monsters and that they have these flaws. He just thinks they're all out here to do their job and they're going to do it. And so before he sent Hannah Lore, he says, she sees monsters. And I'm like, oh, really? Coming from you? This must be bad. So I knew had a challenging horse coming. And the day before she came, there ended up to be a red pickup truck in the infield. And I'm like, oh, gosh. So just like every horse, she amazed me. She came here, that red truck didn't faze her. The flags, nothing new really fazed her. But she was challenging as far as her gait goes and her mental stability. And so it takes crazy to know crazy. So we got along quite well.
I'm not going to touch that one here, but Hannelore Hanover, obviously one of the true greats of this Indiana program. You've been around so many of them, though, Jamie. And do you ever, especially now that you're not training as much or not in the barn from every day, do you ever look back on the horses that you touched, the horses you were a part of, Beckham Z-Tam, Go On BB, Hannelore Hanover, and how do you reflect on that? How do you kind of put that all in perspective, all these great horses you were a part of?
It was my job. I have learned to appreciate them more than you could possibly imagine, because now I just live on their memories. You know, I have Dover back at the barn, and he is probably the most special horse in the world to me. we just meet on so many different levels, Dover and I. We both just have this desire and this will to do better, to be better. And we know that. So when I walk in the barn, his ears are up. He probably knows I have an apple or two in my pocket. But anyways,
And how is Dover Emotion getting along? Obviously, we're seeing him come back now this year. He's made a couple starts. Obviously, shut down early last year after a track record mile down at Oak Grove. He looked so good last year. Didn't miss the board. He was racing the Cutler out east, out in the Maxi League. How's he doing? He's obviously had his issues the last couple of years, but when he puts it all together, that's a special animal.
just keeping him sound is going to be the hard part from here on out because he hasn't lost the desire or the want to, and he still looks like $1 million after, two injuries. You would think, he might not want to do it. No, he wants to do it. He loves it. So now it's fun for me listening to Ricky come home and tell me how he trains. You know what I mean? Because I know him better than anybody.
Mhm.
So I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, let me tell you, you have probably had a trainer in front of you and he wanted to track it down. He's like, yes, he come home so fast. I didn't want to come home that fast. And so it's fun listening to Ricky enjoy him now because I've enjoyed him for so long. But I expect him to get better and better as long as they keep him sound. And I talk to the groom regularly
Mhm.
about him to make sure he's getting what I think he needs.
Yeah, you're still in the ownership game on some of
Yeah.
these things, so you got to get those training reports from Ricky and kind of know what's up. And uh, how has that part of it been? Where obviously, I mean, Ricky's got great eyes when it comes to these horses. He's been around it for so long. You know your barn's in good hands, but how's it? Not seeing it up close and personal every day, and just kind of getting secondhand reports at this point.
Oh, it's so hard. I'm not going to lie. It's been a real struggle to have the change of roles.
Mhm.
But Ricky has taken a great interest in the sale. He asks about it all the time. So at the same time, I just say, how did everything train today? How's so and so doing? I haven't heard about Love Story lately, or I haven't heard about this one lately. And so then I get an update on them and then look forward to them. But, for a while we didn't talk about training strategy because you're just one competent trainer handing it over to another, and then I realized, what, I really would like to know a little bit more. So we've been working on communicating a lot better about the 2-year-olds and even the racehorses.
And I know we keep touching on this week in, week out. This part of the year, it's just so much education when it comes to young horses. Obviously, Ricky's got a really nice 2-year-old in Swiss Lights. He's something where maybe you've had experience with a horse like him in the past, where obviously incredibly fast, but that first mutual start maybe a little bit hard to wrangle in a hole. When you have a horse like that, that obviously just wants to go, he's got the will to do it, he's got the speed to do it, but you need to kind of teach him how to rein it in a little bit. What is that process like when it comes to a good 2-year-old?
Patience. And then, an ideal situation is we get him in a faster race where we can put him in a hole and teach him to sit in that
Mhm.
hole. But who knows when that's going to happen, when we find that perfect speed for him. So in the meantime, just rig him to where he's happy and still wants to do it. So Ricky has an ear hood on him right now, so definitely don't change that. But maybe think about adding something in his mouth. But then you got to be careful that he's not going to like it and take that will away. And you definitely don't want to do that. So my hope is that he gets in a quicker leg of the sire stakes coming up, and Ricky can put him in a hole and he'll be comfortable.
And how tricky is that, especially this time of year? Everyone's kind of grouped together in a non-winners of one. Nobody's really been able to separate. We've had 2-year-old races go in 56. We've had a 2-year-old race, as I said, go in 50. Trying to find the right spot at this stage in the game where you're still trying to educate them. You don't want to take their will away, like you said. It can be incredibly tricky this time of year.
Oh, it's so tricky. And you don't have a choice in the matter. You enter them in a box, you get put in a race, and you don't know where any other baby is
Mhm.
at this point in the game. So the sire stakes, he'll find his place.
Yep.
And he'll learn, and Ricky will learn him. And I like that Ricky chose to drive him because he needs an experienced driver.
Yeah, and Ricky is certainly that, one of the all-time winningest drivers here at Hoosier Park. As we do have our 6th race qualifier starting to gather on the track. We've got the one that's imperative. Ronnie Gillespie trains and drives. This is a son of Goo Goo Gaga out of a Donato Hanover mare. Third full from her. She made over $48,000. The two, Touch of Ability, Jay Crossford and Fisher, son of Don't Let 'em, the second crop on track. Third foal from a full sister to our first class, who made over $388,000. Three, Don't Talk Dirty. Doug Rideout trains and drives, another son of Don't Let 'Em. This one, the first foal from a good Indiana mare, Dirty Secret. She made over $375,000. The four, Chromie's Rocket. Brad Ferguson drive for Harry Miller, a son of Chrome Flywheel. But the second foal from a Justice Hall mare that made over $100,000. The five, Gorilla Sighting. Marcus Miller for Irv Miller from that second crop of Jim Pansy. One qualifier on him. Fourth full from a Cantab Hall mare. The second dam on this one, Personal Style, the Hamiltonian Oaks champion that made just shy of $800,000. And then the sixth, Brookview Gunner, Brad Ferguson, Harry Miller. Pilot Discretion Son here out of a Vaporized mare, Fox Valley Click. I'm making this one a half brother to the likes of Foxy Swan, who made over $230,000 as they are on gate. And we will turn things over to Michael for any changes.
Thank you again, Jacob. We have two driver changes here. The four, Chromie's Rocket. The driver is LaWayne Miller. And the six, Brookview Gunner. The driver is Robert Taylor. The field now moving on to the second turn, and they'll be in the stretch shortly. Now the field turning into the stretch for the sixth qualifier of this Saturday morning. Again, LaWayne Miller on the four and Robert Taylor on the six. Off stride before the start went Don't Talk Dirty. Don't Talk Dirty on a break before the start. As the field approaches the start, they are up. At the inside, Imperative. Also moving up is Chromie's Rocket. To the outside, Brookview Gunner. And then it's Gorilla Sighting. 6 lengths back to Touch of Ability. And the field is moving on to the turn with a field of 5 now, as Don't Talk Dirty is going to pull out as they move around the turn. It is Brookview Gunner with the lead. Brookview Gunner now in front by 2 as they hit the quarter in 31 seconds. Brookview Gunner leading the way to the back stretch. After that is Chromie's Rocket. And then it's 3 back to Imperative in third. 3 further to Gorilla Sighting. And then 10 more lengths to Touch of Ability. So they're moving up the back stretch. They're at the midway point of the back stretch. And Brookview Gunner is in front. Brookview Gunner a length and a half better than Chromie's Rocket. Next in third, that's Imperative. And then Gorilla Sighting and going off stride, Touch of Ability. Touch of Ability on a break at the back. 1 minute and 4. The time for the opening half. The second quarter was 29 and 4 with the field moving on the turn. And it is Brookview Gunner still the leader. Brookview Gunner midway around the turn with the lead. After that is Chromie's Rocket, then Imperative and Gorilla Sighting. As the field is coming to the top of the stretch, Brookview Gunner, Imperative moving to the outside to try and move up. 3/4 time, 131 and 2. Brookview Gunner still the leader. Then Chromie's Rocket, Imperative here on the outside. Gorilla Sighting is also moving up. This top 4 now really tightening up. And it is Brookview Gunner, Imperative. Moving up in between horses is Gorilla Sighting. Gorilla Sighting is closing the best of anyone. And here comes Gorilla Sighting in the final strides to get up for the victory. Imperative was second, then Brookview Gunner and Chromie's Rocket, 2 minutes and 2/5.
Trainer Irv Miller having a good morning here this morning. Gorilla Sighting going to split horses late to get the job done in this qualifier. Really nice effort all together for him. Again, to see a young trotter of split horses. And this is the second crop from Jim Pansy. I've been impressed from what we've seen so far. He was such a cool horse out on the racetrack. We got to see him here at Hoosier Park a couple times. He won the Breeders' Crown here, won the Caesars Trotting Classic here, and maybe he will have something in that sale this fall.
Oh, Jacob, we got lucky. We got one Jim Pansy in this sale, and he is nice.
He was such a, like I said, such a cool individual. He looked the part out on the racetrack, and he was obviously so tough from that Marcus Melander barn. But here again, we've got a young trotter. Second qualifier And again, willing to split horses. I think that's always encouraging when you have a young trotter that not just willing to go by, but split horses, go in between horses in a spot like this. And that's what you're looking for. First qualifier to the second qualifier. The first qualifier, you're just trying to get them around there in one piece, get them to trot through the wire. The second qualifier, I think that's where maybe the education starts.
Absolutely. The first qualifier, a lot of horses ship in to Hoosier Park. It's their first time here. So let them see everything, get them around the track, have a positive experience. And then the second qualifier, you're right. Just let's see what you can do.
And then it's something we talked about, with Ron Burke, with Ernie Gaskin, obviously Hoosier Park. The way we race there, it's incredibly unique. A 7/8 mile track, one of just a couple in North America. It's all about finishing the mile here at Hoosier Park. You want to be going forward at the end of it. That's obviously the main focus, too, in these baby races. You want them to go through the wire. You don't want a horse on its hands and knees when you're crossing the wire and kind of teach them a bad habit in that sense. So you're just trying to save some horse here until the top of the stretch.
Absolutely. I think it's so advantageous that we get to train the horses, the yearlings here. They know it. Um, Irv Miller trains at the state fairgrounds, so they have a mile track too. So their babies understand that the last quarter is a long stretch. So I think training here, they get to learn, to push a little bit more the last 16th. That we do know how long it is. Um, but yeah, it is a very unique way of racing. I like that they took the super stretch out for us. I think that it increased our racing down the backside rather than everybody just sitting tight and having a huge last quarter because some horses can't do it.
Yep.
It's a lot. And so I think that taking out the super stretch kind of, they're moving a little bit more down the backside. It increases the racing aspect for the fans.
Yep.
And us as trainers.
Yeah, and I think taking that out kind of lets us utilize the full quarter-mile long home stretch where you can get some closers that'll go forward because we get some hotter fractions up front. And that is how it's kind of worked out here by taking out the pass lane. I think that's what we were looking for. And it makes races a little bit more competitive. I always said Hoosier Park raced a little bit closer to a 5/8 mile racetrack than a mile track when we had the pass lane because it was just kind of sit and wait. And it would be hard for the closers because when everyone's getting home in 26 flat, it's hard to make up any ground.
And you get those amazing horses that can sprint the whole quarter, the last quarter, and you're like, whoa, that's amazing. Come home in 25 in a piece. But I do like the racing now.
And kind of going back to the sales side of things, obviously, this kind of starting to be crunch time for the sale too, because we've got 2-year-olds out on the track, but yearling season not too far away. We're within a couple months now of sale season. How has business picked up from what you guys were looking at this winter to now kind of putting all the finishing touches and getting ready for this thing?
So all of the yearlings are placed for the gold and the silver select sale. Contracts are in the mail. So yes, things are getting real. So now, it's just plan for the mix sale. Mix sale entries are going to open July 15th, and we're going to keep them open as long as we can. So I'm going to stay in touch with the printer and see how late we can keep those open. So everybody just keep your ears and eyes open.
And that kind of a good time for the mix sale too. I know when we had the mix sale, that was obviously at the end of November, but here, people obviously making room for their babies. It's right after Indiana Sire Stakes wrap up. So if you're looking to move some horses, it's a good time to do that. They've obviously got winter options at Miami Valley, places like that. But also, again, everyone's trying to make room for the new crop, the new babies. So maybe having that mix sale a little bit earlier in the year will be advantageous for everyone.
Yeah, I hope so. But it's a good opportunity too for the breeders to get rid of some brood mares and maybe upgrade their stock, or make get out with the old and with the new. And weanlings, racehorses, stallion shares are 3% commission, and they don't need a consigner. So maybe some people want to invest in new stallion shares and maybe get rid of some.
And let's talk about this Indiana breed as a whole, because obviously you've been a part of this program for a long time. You've seen that we're producing a different caliber of racehorse than we were 20 years ago when it was Don't Get in My Way and Electric Yankee. Obviously, Tell It Like It Is, Rocket Image on the trotting side, Swan for All. How's that transformation of this Indiana program kind of taken place in your eyes, and how does that kind of excite you to be part of a sale where, again, we're selling some real racehorses out here?
Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. And you know how excited I was to start to see the rebuffs and the new temporals? Like, you're just at the edge of your seat, like, okay, we can start inspecting now. I'm ready to see these new ones. So I think they are going to be a great addition to our program just to keep it moving in the level that we want it. So now we have to anticipate a new pacing stallion here. Not that I dislike JK or Rockin' Image or Tell. I think all three of them are amazing. Tell It Like It Is just proves himself year after year after year at every level. And even JK and Rockin' Image has a lot of class also. So I was able to see all of them when we were out inspecting, so that was fun to actually see the stallions themselves.
I'm kind of like you. I have a soft spot in my heart for Tell It Like It
Oh,
Is. They're just the coolest racehorses. They're not always the biggest horses out on the racetrack, but I still think they look very athletic out there. They have a cool way of going. And most importantly, I think they want to do it. And I think that's the key.
that's what I was gonna say. You said they might not be the biggest horses. I'm going to guess they have the biggest heart.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that we can't see when we are picking out yearlings. We can look at what their brothers and their sisters done and whatnot, and we can see how they stand and can we work with that as a trainer? Can we work with that? But we can't see their heart. And I think one thing that Tell proves us year after year is he is giving them all heart.
And on the trotting side of things, obviously it's been Swan for All
Yeah.
for a really long time. But as I said, Rebuff and Temporal Hanover, they're kind of adding some new juice to this program because those were big name horses on the racetrack. To be able to get them in the breeding shed here in Indiana, that was a big get for us. And we've added depth behind Swan for All. Dover Dam's been great for a
Yep.
number of years. Help is on the way, and so many of those stallions, you know you do, don't let them. But those two stallions are coming with a lot of pop.
A lot of pop and a lot of hope. I know as a sale manager now, we are really anxious to sell those yearlings and for you guys to see them because I think you're going to be happy.
Yeah, obviously Rebuff, I think of Muscle Hill, Temporal Hanover, a Walner, I want to say,
Yep.
or a Chapter 7 Walner. So to get those pedigrees kind of into Indiana for the first time, easy for me to say, that's a big get for us because that's some new blood that we haven't had. And again, they were proven racehorses, but with the pedigrees that the state's been looking for.
Absolutely. I think it's going to probably be the first two stallions that are going to give Swan a little competition for his long-standing Trotter of the Year awards.
Yeah, it has been about a decade straight for Swan for All, but just a true game changer in the state of Indiana, as we do have trotters on track for the seventh qualifier, or this actually Pacers, my bad. We do have from the inside out, we've got Rose Run Bristol, Brad Ferguson, Mike Raw teaming up here. This is from that first Ohio crop of summa cum laude, of course, was part of that dead heat in the Breeders' Crown here at Hoosier Park with Perfect Sting. The two, Kim's a keeper, Marcus Miller, Irv Miller from that second crop of Captain Midnight out of an American Ideal mare that made over $150,000. This one also a half sister to Premier Romeo, paced in 50 just the other week here at Hoosier Park. The three, Foolish Betrayal, Dwayne Miller trains and drives this. I believe, a Michigan bred daughter of Fool Me Once out of a Mr. Feelgood mare that made over $300,000. The four, Public Knowledge, Marcus and Irv Miller from that second crop of Tall Dark Stranger. This is going to be the fourth qualifier from this one that's a half sister to the likes of Hurricane Empress and Hurricane Emperor, the graduate champion that paced in 147 flat. Five, Tell It Candy, one of those Tell It Like It Is daughters out of a Ponder mare that made $40,000. The six, Midnight's Wish, Captain Midnight, first full from that Indiana Sire Stakes winning mare, Play for Pay from the Mikey Arnold barn. She made over $300,000, took a mark of 49 and 2. And the seven, Barefoot on the Beach, Jordan Ross, Ryan Miller, I believe the second crop from Catch the Fire out of a Rock and Hannibal mare that made over $200,000. And this one, also a half sister to Sintra, who made over $1.3 million, and of course took a mark of 147 and 2 as we send things up to Michael.
We have three driver changes here. Number one, Rose Run Bristol. It's Robert Taylor driving. Number two, Kim's a keeper, Shane Griffith. And number seven, Barefoot on the Beach, Kaiwan Waldron. The field is now in the stretch for our seventh qualifier today. Here they come. They are off. On the outside, Barefoot on the Beach, away the best. Also moving up, Kim's a keeper, Public Knowledge. And then Rose Run Bristol, Midnight's Wish, is moving up from the outside with Foolish Bee Trail. And Tell It Candy is the early trailer. The field moving on to the first turn. and it is Barefoot on the Beach with the lead, but on the outside is Midnight Swish, and Midnight Swish now comes on to take over. They put up an opening quarter of 29-3. Midnight Swish now leads Barefoot on the Beach by a length and a half. Racing third is Public Knowledge, now 4 lengths off to Kim's a Keeper, who is fourth. 2 further lengths, Rose Run Bristol, then Foolish Betrayal is sixth, seventh and last, Tell It Candy. They are midway up the back stretch, and the leader, Midnight's Wish, in front now 2 lengths. Second is Barefoot on the Beach. Public Knowledge is third as they pass the half in 58-1. 6 lengths back to the fourth spot, and that is Kim's a Keeper. And then another 3 back to Tell It Candy. And after that is Foolish Betrayal as Rose Run Bristol is dropping right out as they move around the turn. And Midnight's Wish setting sail for home, now in front by 4. Midnight's Wish in front as moving up on the outside to take second from Barefoot on the Beach is Public Knowledge. Head of the stretch, headed for home, 3/4 time, 127-4. And they move into the stretch, and here comes Public Knowledge up to take the lead. And Public Knowledge now moves away from Midnight's Wish back in second. Barefoot on the Beach is racing third as they come to the final eighth, and it is Public Knowledge. Public Knowledge with the lead. Midnight's Wish trying to forge on second, then Barefoot on the Beach, but Public Knowledge is the winner. Midnight's Wish second, then Barefoot on the Beach with Kim's a Keeper fourth in 156-1.
Public Knowledge, yet another Irv Miller winner this morning. Marcus Miller doing the driving, got the pocket trip behind, I thought, a very well met Midnight's Wish with Trace Teacher to the bike. I thought that was a nice second qualifier from that daughter of Captain Midnight, but it's going to be Public Knowledge, fourth qualifier for her from that second crop of Tall Dark Stranger. And I know that first crop of Tall Dark Strangers got off to maybe a little bit of a slow start, but Ron Burke, we had him a couple weeks ago. He said the second crop really looks the part out there and starting to become what maybe a lot of people thought he might.
Yeah, and this one actually went along with that theory too, because he did it right.
And that's kind of the thing, too. We've got some second crop stallions. I think it's interesting that the 6 that finished second was the Captain Midnight. Kind of a pivotal year for him. He got such great books the first couple of years. Maybe the first crop, a little bit of a slow start, but he's got some well-bred horses on track this year, especially the 2-year-olds. Kind of needs to have a couple pop out there, maybe.
Absolutely, I think he does, but I just hope it's not too late. You know what I mean? I hope everybody's not discouraged. I think they're great gated. I really like them personally, but I'm one to give the first crops a chance and see if we like them. And I have enjoyed every Captain Midnight that we've had in the barn.
And it can be really fickle in the state of Indiana. I think we can maybe give up on some stallions a little bit early. I think it's interesting. Check 6 maybe has his 2 best 2-year-olds all year long. He had one in that 50 mile that finished second place in the 51. And then Ron Burke has a really good one. That's won Kentucky Sire Stakes. Unfortunately, Check 6 already in Minnesota. Maybe just a little too long for him to get rolling, but he finally had a couple good ones.
And I did think that was specific to Indiana, that we gave up on him too quick. But I think it's everywhere from what I'm learning in my new job, Jacob, that people are really quick to judge whether or not they're going to be a good stallion or not. So I think that's a whole nother industry, a whole nother game per se, is this breeding game and stallion game. The stallion game, I think, is a lot harder than I ever gave it credit. And I've learned a lot, about that in the last 6 months.
Yeah, and it can be a little bit of a numbers game too, because that's the thing with the Indiana program and anywhere, right? There are only so many rares to go around. You've got to be selective with where you're going to go to them, and if you don't pop in that first crop or two, they're not going to go back to you because they've got to go with someone they know is going to produce.
Yeah, and you and I just talked about our providers. We talked about JK and Rockin' Image and Tell It Like It Is. So I'm personally hoping Captain Midnight has a great year because he throws some beautiful yearlings.
Yeah, and one of those pedigrees too. He's the son of Captain Treacherous that we're looking for in this Indiana program, much like Rockin' Image was that Rock and Roll Hanover that popped in the state. Tell It Like It Is. I believe he's a well said, but it's just kind of interesting. Like I said, the breeders can be a little fickle, but it's understandably so. That's their livelihood. They get one chance to sell in the fall, and they've got to make sure that they're going to the right stallions and getting the best bang for their buck.
Yes.
That being said, we've got one more qualifier. I know Ron Burke's going to think you got off a little bit easy. He had to sit through 14 qualifiers with me down here. You just get 8, but that's been kind of the thing. We've got a lot of 2-year-olds on track right now. They're showing up in the entry box right now. A lot of 2-year-olds really just getting out here in the morning. It's been really great to see.
Oh, I love it. This is my favorite time of year, especially as a trainer when you put that work in all winter. You know, we bought them last October and we've been staring at them that whole time. And the owners have been paying bill after bill on them that whole time. So this is an important and a very fun time for a lot of people.
Can it be stressful though? Because I know Ernie Gaskin had one of my favorite quotes down here last week. When you leave the sale, they're all Indiana Sire Stakes champions, right? And then you kind of work backwards from there. But now you're going to actually find out what you've got here in the morning. So talk about kind of the stress of this time of year, because right now it's kind of a make or break time for a lot of them.
Absolutely. You know, there's a point in the game that you realize, when you start biking them and going to the bike once a week for the last month, you start to realize, okay, maybe not sire stakes, maybe, but we have that eligible program and it's great. So you start them there. So Ricky and I did have a conversation the other day, and just like every trainer does, an owner and partnership, do we want to start them in the eligible race and just build them up? So let's let them get faster at their own. But then you have Swiss Lights. You have those horses that say, okay, put me in. I'm ready, coach.
And how do you manage that as a trainer? Because obviously you're trying to get them ready to qualify June, July, but the big money's not on the line until October. And you've got a horse that shows ability, but you want to kind of save something in the tank for at the end of the year, and you want to put away a horse that's still got room to grow beyond this year and go into a 3-year-old year. So how do you kind of balance pacing for a 2-year-old and not going too much too fast?
That's a great question. And it's what I pride myself on at doing, because Beckham took his track record or his lifetime mark late in the year. You know what I mean? So it's what I pride myself on. And I learned that from Ronnie and my parents. My parents were very patient trainers and they reminded me often, it's a long year.
Yeah.
So I have found myself telling Ricky, don't panic. We want the most out of them in October.
Yep.
So right now, let's just get them to the races week to week and give them trips. Let them learn how to pace and keep them happy. Don't wear them out now to where they are exhausted come October.
And I think that is the cool thing with this Indiana program. It's scheduled in a way that gives you options. We have 6 legs of sire stakes. That's 6 opportunities to earn points to get to that $250,000 super final. You don't have to race in every one of them. You can kind of pick and choose your spots to keep a horse sound and happy and going forward at the end of the year. So you have options in this program to kind of race at your own pace.
But economically, you want them in every leg. It helps pays the bills throughout the whole summer, and they're competing against the horses that they're ultimately going to compete against in the final. So you want them in every leg. The important part is managing them between every leg, between training and keeping them sharp, racing them and not over racing them. That's the hard part.
And I think that's an interesting part of 2-year-olds too that we don't often think about. I mean, when you buy them at the sale in October, you start to break them, and they are going from November to October essentially. So there's not really much break for a 2-year-old once you get them going. So it's a much longer year for a 2-year-old than just the 10 to 12 starts that show up on paper. It's been a long year, a lot of work put into these 2-year-olds.
Oh my gosh, they're rewarding them is so important. So their time in the field or their weekends off is so important because it is a very long year. And when we do stop with them in October, November, I can't wait to turn them out. Like, it has to be a great feeling for them to just go and grow and be a horse.
Is there a little bit of a hold your breath aspect of that though? Because when you turn a horse out, you never know what horse you're going to get back when you do bring them back in the winter. When you turn out a good one, do you kind of hold your breath just a little bit?
No. I think if you have a couple horses, yes, you hold. But fortunately, we've been blessed with a barn full of horses. And as a trainer and an owner, that's what they need. They need to get turned out. They need to refresh that brain, give that body time to grow and mature and get faster and better.
Absolutely. And I think that's interesting too for people that are shipping in. I know we train at a small farm track. Sometimes to bring them down here, maybe even if they're not quite ready yet, but just to break up the monotony a little bit, get them away from the farm, teach them a little bit, just to get them out of a rut because 2 year olds can get in a little bit of a rut from time to time out there. And how do you kind of manage that when you need to just shut one down for a week and kind of hit the reset button or get them away from what they're doing? Because again, it's can be monotonous for a 2 year old if they get bored out there. You got to kind of refresh and get change things up a little bit.
Absolutely. It all comes in their training schedule, just keeping it consistent, but keeping it fresh. You know what I mean? Turnout, field time is amazing. It does so much wonders. Um, but keeping them healthy also keeps their mind right, giving them the right diet, the right exercise. They are athletes.
Yep.
They're bred to do this. They need work to keep them mentally sharp, to keep them mentally happy, just like an athlete, a human athlete. You just manage it.
I think that's something cool about these horses that people have questions about. But a horse you talked about, Dover Emotion, they love their job. They
Oh,
need the work. These are horses that are looking for a purpose out there, and they find their purpose out on the racetrack. And you have horses that, if you shut them down, you have horses that maybe go into retirement and they absolutely lose their mind a little bit because they are meant to be out there on the racetrack. That's what they enjoy doing. It keeps their mind busy, and they're horses that truly love their jobs.
absolutely. And there's horses that don't. And those horses that don't just don't make race horses. So we don't ever make them do anything that they don't want to do because we just can't.
Yep.
I mean, look how big and powerful they are. I mean, we're not going to make them do something they don't want to do. And those that don't want to do it weed themselves out with time.
Yeah, they usually find their way into my barn, and that's unfortunately, but
Jacob,
all good.
stop. But let's turn the camera on you for a minute. You sit here every weekend and you tell everybody what a great trainer they are, what a great owner they are. So I'm here to tell you that you are doing an amazing job and you are so prepared every week and you've made this weekly show very enjoyable for me to watch and I'm sure a lot of people.
I appreciate it. Thank you. It does take the harness racing Avengers, Gabe Pruitt, Bob Hayden, and Emily Gaskin to make me tolerable for a week out there. So I appreciate them carrying the load in the studio with me. But no, I have a lot of fun doing it. This Indiana program near and dear to my heart. I grew up in it. Obviously, I've known you for a long, long time out there. And it's people like you that keep me in this program because obviously I have such a connection to it. And it's really cool. You've been on that backside for a long time. The people that make this program go, it really kind of differentiates this program a little bit.
I agree. It's amazing. And to know Emily's been here her entire life. You've been here your entire life. I've been here for a very long time, but I grew up just like you did here. I grew up in Ohio. So would it be great for me to be in Ohio doing all of this? Yes, but I've made my life in Indiana and I love every second of it. And to say that I love everybody in this industry in Indiana it's not a lie. I like it. I love it. It keeps me going every day. And now I have a new purpose. I want to provide a great sale for not only Indiana now, but for the Midwest, because I think we are becoming the heart of harness racing again out here.
That's what I was going to say. The Midwest is becoming the epicenter of racing. A lot of the big barns starting to move to Kentucky now. That's going to make them have pretty easy access to this Indiana program. Shipping up from Lexington, it's just a couple hour ship, and we see more and more people starting to do that. The Midwest is where the business is moving right now, and that's why, again, you've got to be pretty excited to have a sale in the Midwest.
Absolutely, I'm excited. But being from the Midwest and you being from the Midwest, this means the world to me and my family because we grew up here. It has nourished us so much that it's awesome to think that I'm giving back or providing for maybe the younger generations too.
Absolutely. And we do have 2 year olds on track for this final baby race of the morning. We'll go through here from the rail. We've got Maserati Marv. This is a well-shed Ohio bred son of, again, well said, but the fourth foal from a Stonebridge Regal mare that made $174,000. She's also produced Meadowland Terror, made $250,000. The two, Malachi, Trace Teatrick, Dylan Davis. This one, the fourth foal from a dam that made over $270,000. And also a half brother to I Want to Be With You, who raced out of that Dylan Davis barn and made over $300,000. The three, In a Minute. Another Irv Miller trainee. This one, an Illinois bred son of Some Star Somewhere, out of a well-shed mare that made $80,000. The four, Mocha Macchiato, John DeLong, Perry Smith, a Tell It Like It Is. Fifth foal from a dam that made over $230,000 and also produced Mama Moonshine, who made over $60,000. The five, Captain Speed, Vern Fisher, another son of Captain Midnight. Third foal from a dam that made $100,000, took a mark of 52. The 6, Hurricane Henry Hill, a Racing Hill, Ohio bred, third full from a Some Beach Somewhere mare that made $50,000. And the 7 is Quick Return, Robert Taylor, Harry Miller, a son of Freaky Feet Pete, and a half brother to If I Lose and Shady Starlight as we send it up to Michael.
Two driver changes here. The 1, Maserati Marv, it's Marcus Miller, and the 4, Mocha Macchiato, Kyle Wilfong. They are off. And stepping away well at the inside is Maserati Marv in a minute. Will tuck in second, then Captain Speed third. Malachi is next in fourth. Mocha Macchiato to the inside of Hurricane Henry Hill, and the early trailer is Quick Return. With the field going on to the first turn and leading the charge is Maserati Marv. Maserati Marv in front of In a Minute by a length as they go by the quarter in 29-1. Racing in third is Captain Speed, and then next fourth, that's Malachi. And after that, in the fifth spot is Mocha Macchiato with Hurricane Henry Hill, and then Quick Return. Moving up the backstretch, and Maserati Marv continues to take them along in front of In a Minute by just a length. There's then a gap of 6 back to Captain Speed, and going off stride on the backstretch, off stride was Malachi. Malachi went on a break and is now pulled out as they move to the second turn. The half is up in 58-4, 29-3 for the second quarter. So they're going on to the second turn, and Maserati Marv up top. Second is In a Minute, and it's now a dozen lengths off to the rest. Captain Speed is a distant third. Then it's Mocha Macchiato, Hurricane Henry Hill, and Quick Return at the tail end as they approach the top of the stretch. And it is a match race from here as Maserati Marv and In a Minute have separated themselves. 127-1 for three quarters. Maserati Marv in front. In a Minute, trying to keep pace second. The rest are a long way back. It is Maserati Marv with the lead to the final eighth of a mile. In a Minute continues to hound this leader. Maserati Marv In a Minute now to the outside, and here comes In a Minute, who is closing very nicely. In a Minute is up to win it. Maserati Marv was second. Mocha Macchiato will be third, then Quick Return 154-1.
Stop me if you've heard this one before, but it's going to be an Irv Miller horse getting the job done here. 154-1, snappy qualifier for In a Minute. A really nice effort. It did look like John DeLong was in the bike for that one. Also a good effort by the 1, Maserati Marv, who did all the heavy lifting in this qualifier. The 2, Malachi, obviously had an equipment issue or something along those lines as he was pulled up. He looks okay on the backstretch right now, so hoping just an equipment issue on the backstretch for the 2, Malachi in this spot. That being said, Jamie, I'll kind of turn things over to you. I know we've talked a lot about the sale. We've talked a lot about your training career. I'll just kind of turn things over to you. Anything else you want to tell us about the sale coming up in October that you haven't said already?
I think I pretty much said everything except, that I'm super excited for it. And I hope that everybody in Indiana is. I think the changes that were made are awesome. I think it's always been a great place to go. I've enjoyed it for the last 15 years. So I think just taking a trainer's perspective into the sale, bringing Dr. J has been a huge advantage to Indiana for the breeders. Just if for advice. I mean, 26 years at Hanover Shoe Farms. Are you kidding me? I think she knows what she's doing. So, and she has kept her phone open for every breeder in the state of Indiana to call her anytime. So that has been a pleasure. If they can't or they don't want to call her, they call me and she answers my questions immediately and I get back with them. So, it's just been a great experience. Dana's been amazing to work for. So I appreciate his generosity and his want to make the industry better, not just Indiana or not just selfish reasons for the sale, but he loves this business. And he has such a bright outlook on the future that he wants to bring it to life. So that's been fun working with him. I think we have put together over 500 great yearlings. And even the mix sale, I think there was just so many good yearlings to choose from that I think the third day is going to be great too. I mean, we do have a great fair racing program here. So I don't want that third day to be overlooked at all. It was a very hard decision for Dr. J to take 760 yearlings and narrow it down to 500. So I hope people appreciate all the hard work that she put into it. and that the whole team is putting into making this a fun new adventure for Indiana.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to that this October for the first edition of the Midwest Standardbred Horse Sale. This October, the week after Indiana Sire Stakes, I do believe.
16th, 17th, and 18th.
There we go. So we are looking forward to that. We will see Jamie McCumber then. I can't thank you enough for joining us this morning again for a second straight year. You're always a pleasure to talk to. Couldn't be any more thankful to have you out here.
Thank you so much, Jacob. I love it, and I enjoy spending my mornings with you.
Absolutely appreciate everyone who made their way out to Hoosier Park for the Breakfast at the Hop series. We're going to wrap this up for the fourth and final installment. But again, we've had a lot of fun doing it. Until then, we will see you back here tonight. First post 6:15 p.m. 14 races on tap. I do believe we've got some more Indiana Sire Stakes or some more good races on tap. So we'll see you then tonight at 6:15 for 14 races.